AskReddit by who nobody. What's an addiction that no one takes seriously enough? Meant to comment this earlier but procrastination. Edit, crikey, this response and awards. On a whimsical but heartfelt sauce comment. Cheers, D. I'll probably start fixing that tomorrow. Staying up late for no apparent reason. It's taking a serious toll on my mental health, and yet I can't seem to stop. Maybe my circadian rhythm is fucked, but it seems like I do this completely by choice. Revenge bedtime procrastination. When a person feels emotionally exhausted and they have not had enough time for themselves or to care for themselves, they will often stay up late to get this time but unintentionally exacerbate the problem due to lack of sleep. Compulsively buying. In worst case scenarios, the person either becomes a hoarder due to all the stuff they accumulate and or turns themselves into a debt slave by opening up 10+ credit cards and maxing them out to buy more stuff to get the dopamine hit. Similar to alcoholism, the person needs to want to change themselves. You can physically take their cards away and cut them up and admonish them or compassionately talk with them, but they have the card info saved on websites like Amazon and it's trivial to continue buying online without the physical card, or to order a replacement card or open up even more cards to continue putting themselves into the hole. It can be a real compulsion for the buyer. My mom is like this. Her house is full of shit and she never stops buying. She's always cleaning and getting rid of stuff, but she just puts shit in piles or trash bags and then never actually gets rid of it. Clothes, creams, makeup, stupid little doodads from Amazon. Attempting to talk to her about it is fruitless. She sees no problem. I don't know how to help her, but I also don't think I can. In someone with ADHD, dopamine. It's easy to become addicted to social media, gaming, gambling, sex, attention, drugs, alcohol and all of the other addictions. Because the real problem is you're just trying to get access to a normal amount of dopamine. Yep, when I tell people I stayed up till 4 AM mindlessly browsing Reddit and YouTube, especially if I had far more important things to do and was very tired, they look bewildered and ask why I didn't simply stop. After all, I wasn't really engaged in what I was viewing. But it's not a matter of being actually interested, it's about continually getting that hit of dopamine, and it is ridiculously hard to break away. Especially when a looming pile of tasks is building up due to procrastination, and anytime you stop aimlessly scrolling, you spiral into feeling overwhelmed and guilty about everything you didn't do. Validation. Yes. Sleep aids like ZZZ Quill. I've always had sleeping issues. Turns out long-term use can possibly bring on dementia and Alzheimer's. The Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has found a connection between frequent and long-term use of drugs containing diphenhydramine and the risk of developing dementia, including Alzheimer's disease, especially in older adults who abuse this medication. I'm horrified because Alzheimer's runs in my family. Did they figure out which way the connection runs? There's a high risk of dementia in people with sleep disorders, so it'd make sense that those taking sleep medication have a high risk too, since you're not usually taking them if you don't have a sleep disorder. Scrolling. Almost missed this one, I was going so fast. Nasal spray. Physician here, I love and hate this answer because it's not discerning enough. Steroid sprays like Flonase and Nasacort as well as saline sprays are not addicting and may need to be used continuously for some severe allergy sufferers. It's the Afrin, as most have pointed out, that can really mess your nose up. Active ingredient oxymetazoline. Definitely one I avoid at all costs. I just wanted to clarify the difference for those who were curious. Attention, and it can manifest in so many ways: social media, causing issues in school, causing chaos, etc. I have a TikTok account with over 100 million views and a few 100,000 followers, and let me tell you, those first couple months I was helplessly addicted to checking the number of views I got. Not exaggerating, I would check 100+ times a day. It was ruining other things for me by being a constant distraction in my head, and the disappointment I felt when new videos wouldn't get shared was crushing. Ultimately I quit a year ago, but man, that was a horrible addiction for me. Self-deprecation. It starts as just jokes to break the ice in social situations. Then it becomes a form of sarcasm ingrained into your everyday speech. Then it becomes a true depiction of how you see yourself, and it spirals into depression. The cool thing is you can do it in reverse. I had shitty self-esteem, but I joked about being hot shit long enough that I started believing it just a little bit. Just enough. Energy drinks. Man, I don't know why I'm so low on energy today. I think I need another Red Bull. No, you need fucking water. Fucking water is the best water. I've beaten booze, meth, crack and cigarettes. I now need treatment for sugar. I've seen similar comments a couple times while scrolling, but I read a study recently connecting former addicts, mainly opiates, with sugar addiction because of the effects it has on the brain. Congratulations on your sobriety though, that is no joke for sure. Phone addiction. Scrolls on. Work. So many of my friends in their late 20s work themselves to exhaustion, go out for drinks and talk about work for 3 hours, get called in early to work the next day, and kiss the boss's ass on their days off. On the same merit, I'm fully disgusted by how effective it is to brown-nose managers. Like, you can't fire the guy who the entire company has issues with because he treats you like you're his favorite person. Solitude is dangerous. It's very addictive. It becomes a habit after you realize how peaceful and calm it is. It's like you don't want to deal with people anymore because they drain your energy. Jim Carrey. I have lived alone for over 15 years, with the exception of a cat or two as roommate. Can confirm, this is the life for me. Alcohol dependency. People only think being a full-blown alcoholic is an issue. The millions who can't go a day without booze, yet are functional and whose lives would be 10x better without it, are the real issue. Yet 3 months without a drink. I would come home from work and one glass of wine would turn into a bottle. I realized I was not a casual drinker, and I don't think I ever will can be. I was proud when I went a day without. Now, I'm understanding that I have had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol that had to end. Is it forever? I'm not sure. All I know is things are better without, and I'm not sure I should risk it. It was a slow spiral. Sugar. I'm 100% addicted to sugar. Chapstick. There's 994 comments, so not sure if has been said. But my lips will never let me give up chapstick until I die. Surprised this one isn't mentioned more. I've known several people with serious chapstick addiction. For me, I don't use it much because it seems like when I do, my lips get more chapped. Skin picking. My index, thumb and middle fingers are permanently destroyed, and all my parent says is, "You've got to stop." Yeah, no, I can't. Our compulsive skin picking has some resources that might help. Body focused repetitive behaviors are difficult to break. I don't pick my fingers too badly, but the rest of my skin is a mess most of the time. Self-harm. Absolutely. Especially when adults say the kids do it for attention. If they are doing it for attention, then give them attention. Sincerely, a former self-harmer. Shopping. People think I just like nice shit, but they don't realize I literally can't stop, and it's ruined relationships, but I don't know how to quit. The dopamine is real. I scroll too far to see this. If I bring it up to people, it's almost like a joke to them. It isn't funny, it really sucks, and it's hard to stop. I find it'll start to do better, but suddenly I see sale emails and get tunnel vision, and I'm in a trance adding stuff to cart. I'm actually seeing a therapist now to help with it. I want to save to buy a house. I do not need more clothes and makeup. Winning arguments. Or at least the other person giving up. I know a guy that will argue with anyone over anything, with the sole intention of making them give up in disgust. Betty's on Reddit right now trolling TF out of people. Social media addiction. I think eventually we will find out that social media contributes to mental illness someday. Already a very well-known fact. Binge eating. I used to struggle badly with this. I weighed around 185 pounds but would put back a whole, large Papa John's pizza, side of garlic knots, some of another pizza and still be looking in the fridge for snacks. I'd lay down later in bed and the emotional and physical heaviness of it all sitting in my gut is one of the worst feelings I've ever had. So I'd go and purge to get it out. Then I'd repeat about a week later. I was undiagnosed PTSD and ADHD and thank God I've gotten my mental sorted out a bit more to avoid it these days. My heart goes out to anybody else suffering from this. You can get out. Vaping I quit, day 2. If you want to stay quit, stop counting. You're not on day 2, you're just not that kind of person anymore. Remember the date, but don't count the days. Otherwise, you're always fighting to not be who you identify as. You are someone who doesn't vape, not a vapor fighting the urge. It helps. TV. I swear parents will yell at their children to get off video games and get mad at their kids because they have an addiction to video games, yet they are the ones watching TV 12 hours straight and try to claim it's somehow different. TV is the big thing I'm aware of. I feel I always need it on and I know if I did almost anything else instead my life would be much improved. Or if I didn't watch while trying to do something else. It's one of my earliest pastimes that I can remember in my childhood and the desire is still strongly there. I'm surprised it's not higher on the list here. Cell phones. My iPhone wasn't charging so I stopped by the Apple shop. Guy takes a look and says I've just got some lint clogging up the port and he can clean it out for me if I've got 10 minutes. I say sure and start wandering around the shop looking at the new computers and iPads. I reached into my pocket to check my phone no less than 5 times on sheer reflex. Recently? Alcohol. You can be slamming back a 6-pack every day after work, wine mom drinking out of a flask at soccer games and baby showers, 10 AM Sunday mimosas, and no one bats an eye as long as you're functioning and you turn it into a joke. Unless you're pissing yourself drooling in a corner at 8 AM every morning, no one even thinks alcoholism. Drinking in your 30s is basically this. I'm almost certain the combination of work stress, family, lack of spare time etc. drives a lot of people into functional alcoholism. I had a great chat with a colleague who had a shit day. He commented that he needed to shake it out of his system so I got all excited about heading to a bar to drown our sorrows. I got a message from him a couple of hours later after he'd returned from a 5 kilometers run and spent a bit of time in the garden, just what he needed. It made me reconsider my idea of winding down. Drama. Came here to read this. A lot of people thrive on it and create it when it is not there. This will sound weird but, winning. People nowadays need to feel like they are the victors of everything. If someone has an opinion that differs from yours, that is not okay. You need to convince them they're wrong and you're right. Porn. I'm surprised I had to scroll so far for this one. It obviously varies from person to person, but it can easily be insanely detrimental. You aren't aroused by your oral partner anymore. You can't climax without porn. You become physically desensitized. It's crazy stuff, and I'm telling you, if you experience any of that, the only solution is to go cold turkey and never return to porn. No peeking, no just once a week, no excuses. Casual alcoholism. People notice severe alcoholism, where they are obviously drunk in broad daylight, but the number of people I see who are just casually drinking at noon or drinking tons of mimosas at 9 AM, or make their entire personality about alcohol are way too into alcohol for it to be healthy. Caffeine. Mainly in the form of coffee. If it's energy drinks, it's suddenly much more of an issue, but people take pride in not functioning without their morning coffee. The amount of shirts, cups and home decor saying stuff like "don't talk to me before my coffee" or "but first, coffee" baffles me. If you can't function without it, you're addicted, Helen. Oh yeah, quitting coffee was a massive game changer for me. My anxiety went way down and for whatever reason, it seemed to completely numb my emotions. I was wandering around like a zombie a lot of the time and now I feel the full range of emotions. I saw nobody say this so I am gonna say it. Sadness might seem like a weird thing but a lot of people are addicted to making themselves sad or make themselves feel pain. I've heard about this. Someone's theory was that they are so familiar with that feeling that that's what's comfortable. That's their safe space. They are scared to feel anything else. Marijuana. I know it's not as bad as other drugs, but if you are seriously going to look me in the eye and say it's not addictive when you wake and bake 24/7. Weed is totally addictive. It's horrible for your quality of sleep too and studies are showing it doesn't even matter if you smoke 3+ hours before bed, it still disturbs your REM. I've been vaping dry flower and smoking since I was 18, and it has been so hard to stop using it every day. Every time I try, the withdrawals are brutal. Sleeplessness at night, sleepiness during the day, appetite all over the place, moodiness, anger, irritability, cravings. I'm on a break that I'm hoping will lead to ceasing my use forever, but if I tell myself I will never smoke weed again I can't handle that reality, so I take it day by day. Moderation also isn't possible for me, it's all or nothing. Only using on weekends means I'm going through withdrawal during the week and that cycle repeats until I start using every day of the week to avoid those withdrawals. It's a vicious cycle. Compulsive shoplifting. Edited. Kleptomania. There's a lot that aren't taken seriously, or are looked down upon because of the stigma around it. Food. Gambling. Sex. Even legal narcotics are looked down upon. But illegal narcotics aren't seen as what they often are, which is a way to avoid dealing with something in one's past. Much the same can be said about alcoholism. Addiction to love, especially in toxic relationships. The needing, the longing, the desperation, the codependency, the rage, the lust, the jealousy. Might as well face it. Anger. It releases serotonin. It's cathartic. Easy to become a dominant response in many social situations. Addiction to work and achievement. Marijuana. Nicotine can't go one day without it, and if I don't have it I drink and eat food excessively just to fight the cravings. No idea why this isn't higher up on the list. Quitting darts was fucking hard, and when I finally cut myself off, my body reacted in some really weird ways. Smokers understandably get a lot of shit for their choices, but most people don't know how nefarious the nicotine trap really is. Marijuana, not that bad until 20 years go by in a haze. IDK man, I've seen nobody mention cocaine and I've been watching that harm a few lives lately. Socially acceptable amongst the moderately wealthy, but usually an all or nothing kind of drug that people absolutely will gargle trouser meat for. Self-harm. Person addiction. Emotional dependency on an individual. Has ruined my life. Gambling. Small cat addiction. I refuse to go to rehab. Masturbation. Been late to several important things because of it. Work. I show up early every day at least an hour, stay late if possible, and try to work weekends constantly, without extra pay. Not trying to kiss ass or look good to the boss man, I just genuinely like working. Or rather need to work.